I've got, for this episode, we got Kenny and Aaron with me. Kenny's coming from Scotland. Aaron's from England. You will not see Aaron's face because the bandwidth in England is not behaving, but Scotland luckily is. So we got Kenny's lovely visage. I was going to say, I don't know if that's the right word. Sometimes I get words.
Be diplomatic. Be diplomatic.
Yeah. Very nice to see you, Kenny, and very nice to hear from you, Aaron. It would be nice to see you as well, Aaron. No offense.
I can assure you this is the better option for everybody involved.
So we're talking. This is the At U2 podcast, of course, talking all things U2 news and tour dates and etc. Rumors, all that kind of stuff, of course. And we'll be discussing spoilers, things that are happening on the tour coming up in a few days now. So if you're trying to be spoiler free as far as what songs are being rehearsed, things like that, you might want to turn this off and rewatch or re-listen a little bit later on after the tour has started. And so we'll check in with you again, I guess, after that. But so we will be, like I said, we will be discussing spoilers and things like that throughout the tour. So throughout the show, I mean. So in just a bit of brief news, there's, as I've mentioned before, there's some free EI tour wallpapers for your mobile device over on @u2.com. So @u2.com/news, you can check out that. A link will be to that in the show notes, of course. And also the Ask at U2 hashtag, which you can send any questions and comments over on generally Twitter. I keep forgetting to check the other platforms. If you're out there, apologies, but Twitter is the one that we can set up automatically to connect. And we had at Fumat Chu send in a question or comment saying, I'm new to this, so forgive me if this is either not relevant or has been asked before, but dream first 5 tracks of all time, what would you pick? And so we're going to shelve that one for now, because that is it kind of plays off the previous episode that we just did, where we talked about the last song on each album, went through every album and talked about the last song on that. And so picking the dream first tracks of all time, I think, is a great discussion point for a full episode, because I think knowing Kenny and Aaron, just those two guys alone, could probably fill a few hours discussing that. Let's just do this, I guess, quickly. Kenny and Aaron, your dream, I guess you had to pick one song as the opening song for your ultimate U2 album. Of all the opening tracks of the U2's catalog, do you follow? What is your dream opening track?
I think I have to go for Streets.
Yeah. Quandary. Yes, I'll go Streets as well. Sorry.
And Zoo Station.
No, you can't. You just got one. I think mine.
And I will follow.
Yeah, I was going to say I will follow. That's what was bouncing around my head.
You only get one.
If
it's one, then I'll go with Streets.
Yeah, Streets for me as well.
All right. Well, I'll pick Zoo Station. That would be my choice, just because I'm an Actung baby guy. So, but yeah, listeners out there, what's your dream top 5, I guess, opening tracks from U2 albums is what the question was. You can send those in to the show using hashtag AskAtU2 on Twitter primarily, and we'll try and catalog stuff on Instagram as well, I know, and Facebook from time to time. We check those. DanaVox18 said Streets Forever, which is fair. I'm just going to move the graphic over so we can actually see over on Periscope, which I think is probably going to be a fairly common first track. So, but anyways, we'll skip right to the roundtable, which is basically because in a few short days, where are we here? Tomorrow already? Aaron, you're actually flying over in like a few hours. You're staying up late so that you can...
Yeah. I've got to be getting up in about 6 hours, heading to the airport, and in 12 hours time for sure I'll be there in Berlin, and no doubt looking at the various people that on the tour that are already queuing up and been there for about 3 or 4 days already in the GA line. I'm sure they'll be there.
Yeah, thanks to who is it? U2 Berlin, I think, or U2 Tour. U2 Tour.
U2 Tour, yeah.
U2.
In fact, I'm just looking at the Twitter account for them, and I see the band are currently rehearsing the second time they've been rehearsing. So that's quite exciting as I'm looking at that right now.
Yeah, so maybe they'll tune in and call into the show. We'll see if the band decides to give us a little tease. Anyways, that's probably not going to happen. But what shows are you guys seeing? I guess on the over the pond there. Which shows are you going to?
Okay, so for me, I'm doing Berlin, the first 2 shows, and then I've got a bit of a gap then for about 5 weeks before I go to Amsterdam. and then it is Manchester, both London, both Belfast, skipping the first 2 Dublin shows, but finishing with dubs 3 and 4.
How about you, Kenny?
Yeah, so I've still got a few weeks to go. So I'm both Manchester, both London, both Belfast, and all 4 Dublin.
All right. So I guess, well, we'll cover maybe your expectations and hopes for the tour, but a bit of the just lead up to this, I guess. Aaron, you were mentioning beforehand that Europeans didn't really have as much of a struggle, I guess, getting tickets, and didn't have to deal with the whole verified fan issues, all that kind of stuff. It was much smoother.
That's right. I was just reflecting on that because I mean the tickets were announced around January, if I remember right, or were they pre-Christmas? And going back to all the fuss and bother with the verified fan situation. Unfortunately, I think obviously they must have learned from that concerns with the market and with the general availability of tickets, the registration. You buy tickets and then you get deselected and all types of problems for various U2 fans. And fortunately, that all got corrected or dropped, whatever the version is, for Europe. And certainly for us in England, in the United Kingdom, it was fairly swift and easy to buy tickets. Ultimately, I wouldn't say everybody's got what they wanted, but generally the process of buying a ticket was fairly certain. And the ability to do so was fairly robust, which was great, and I'm pleased about that. How about you, Kenny? Did you have the same? You had the same situation, I guess.
I did. No, I mean, I think from my perspective, in a way, we were kind of lucky, and that we went second. So they obviously, to your point, they tried out the whole verified piece, gave us a wee bit more planning time. I think is the best way to describe it. We generally were okay on pre-sale actually and stuff like that. I managed to get most things that I wanted, and then after that it was a wee bit kind of hold your breath and just hope that your internet was way faster than everybody else's, really, to be honest. But no, we went pretty smoothly. I mean, it did look pretty appalling across the pond, and actually it almost put me off a wee bit. You're kind of like, oh crikey, I hope we're not going to go down that avenue, if you know what I mean. But no, fortunately enough, they saw sense and we did it the kind of normal way. And that did seem to work out pretty quickly. And I don't know if that had anything to do with the fact that most of the shows have sold out as well. I don't know if that had anything to do with that at all whatsoever. But
I think also as well, Kenny, probably what's happened is that the European shows, they're more conventional cities, aren't they, really? Where they're playing, which I think there was quite a few areas in North America which was surprising to be chosen, perhaps. I don't know, but certainly I don't think there was full capacity, was there, at quite a few of the shows early on in the tour, despite them not being played there for quite a long time. It was a little surprising, but no, overall, Chris, the experience of buying tickets was as good as it has been for, say, the Joshua Tree 30 tour and the previous I&E tour. Certainly a lot better than going back to the days of Vertigo and the likes, where there was a fair catastrophe for everybody worldwide. But yeah, I'm pleased. I'm pleased Ticketmaster, certainly in Europe, seemed to have realised there was quite a few concerns with the North American methodology. So that was nice.
And something else that maybe is helping, I guess you had mentioned this too, that the ticket scalpers or touters or whatever in Europe, those kind of companies are going away, or what's happening?
Yeah, that's right. It's only a recent situation, but there's been a lot of legislation, particularly in Ireland, where they've been trying to ban secondary ticketing. And the UK is not as advanced in terms of the parliamentary efforts, but they've certainly made a lot of effort, both countries, in the last 2 years. And to the extent that there's been a big public backlash against Ticketmaster, particularly with their secondary ticketing companies, which I think are the same in North America, known as Seatwave, and Get Me In. I'm not sure if it's called Get Me in North America, but they've had bad press with lots of big acts, particularly Ed Sheeran and whatever. Been a lot of bad press over the last 12 months, and Adele in the year before that, in terms of the marketing and how they're, reliability of getting tickets and getting the pricing and, you buy something and you find out what you've bought at an inflated price isn't really worked out.
Right.
And surprisingly, just over about 2 weeks ago, Ticketmaster UK announced that from August, I think it was August the 13th, there was to be no more new sales of tickets on their system, and the fact that the whole thing has been wrapped up within the next 4 to 5 weeks. So to be replaced by an alternative system, which is basically use the Ticketmaster website to trade tickets, and the seller, I think, just charges is charged a 15% fee, so the buyer has full transparency and is able to buy it at face value, and that's great. I mean, it reflects really what a lot of the U2 fan communities have been doing for the last 2 or 3 tours, where we've been trying to swap and trade tickets at face value, and that's good. And that's good not just for U2 fans, that's good for the whole of the entertainment business, whether it's theatre tickets, whether it's music tickets,
Right.
sport events. It's a real positive.
And obviously good for Ticketmaster's bank account. They keep the money flowing through their system instead of going to third-party companies as well.
Yeah.
It's not completely altruistic, but it's good. I think in the end it does help the fans for sure.
It'll be interesting to see what the impact is on those that remain. So we've still got Viagogo and StubHub.
Yeah, StubHub is eBay, isn't it? And that's still on the go, I think.
Yeah. So I don't know what impact that will have, but I think it's a great move. I think it's a positive move. As you say, it's not only good for U2 fans, it's good for all music fans, to be honest.
Yeah. And so with the tour kicking off tomorrow, as we record this anyways, so today it's August 30th, tomorrow's August 31st, kicking off in Berlin. Bono's been doing some interviews and talking about doing the daring thing of waving the European flag, and Europe is a thought that needs to be, what did he say, needs to become a feeling. Usual, fairly similar Bono-isms coming out in anticipation of the tour, and it feels like a bit of a echo of the American thing that they did, sort of, America is this bigger than any one of us and all that kind of stuff, and trying to like rah America, except now it's just promoting Europe. How does that kind of I guess sort of theme heading into the show, how does that land for you guys? You're obviously well, you're not German, but you're a part of Europe still, I think, right? Right now, anyway.
Yeah, well, it has a particular elements for us in the UK because of the Brexit situation, which is still feeling very fragmented, and amongst Parliament and amongst the electorate. It must be just over 2 years now, isn't it, Kenny, since the vote happened, and it seems just gigantic chaos, doesn't it? So. I think the unity aspect of what Bono is suggesting, and saying that Europe is as big together, working together. I think that's going to be that's quite a good message, I think.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw it, I thought, I mean, I'm not kind of surprised. Yeah, that's kind of very Bono. I went straight to kind of home shows, so like Manchester, London. Maybe less so Belfast, but as Aaron says, particularly in the UK, there's I think carnage is quite a good word in terms of, or chaos, certainly in terms of there's no clarity around about what the breakup of the UK from the rest of Europe is going to mean. So from a business perspective, etc. And there's still a lot of misnomers flying around, people still campaigning to have second referendums, all this kind of sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it could be quite interesting, could be quite sparky. I think it is something that actually does, it is very divisive. I mean, the vote itself was, I can't remember, was it 55-45 or something like that? So there's a country we're kind of fairly split on it, and I don't imagine that's moved much. Unless, I mean, there is pressures like that around about the rest of Europe, around about, this kind of move towards nationalism, I guess, if you want. I mean, I guess I suppose it depends where you live, but it certainly feels like it could bring a degree of, tension's the wrong word, but it certainly bring a bit of an undertow or a bit of spark to the shows actually. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out actually.
Exactly, and I guess this whole European EU flag waving bit, this how it's the theme of it's going to be for tomorrow night. I assume it does appear that American Soul has been dropped. I mean, it was obviously going to be difficult to play that song with the American flag in the background in the way that it was in North America. I wouldn't discount it. It may be played yet even on the tour, but it seems that it may be that the European flag will be on the backdrop, and perhaps Summer of Love is the backdrop for that song.
See that, or I was even wondering New Year's Day actually. Just simply because of the kind of reference to,
the European Polish solidarity.
Exactly, yeah, and that's where I wondered if that was kicking in.
Yeah, because they did play American Soul like at the Canadian stop in the tour, but they didn't have the flag up, and so they could still. But it does feel a little bit like raw America in a whereas something like Bullet the Blue Sky is obviously discussing America, but more of like we're all being affected by the American politics, as opposed to. American Soul feels a bit more like, hey, America, and that, to me, that doesn't play as well in Europe. Not that they can't play it, but yeah, New Year's Day, if they're going for as we've seen anyways, they kind of push the theme over the song and choosing songs that are appropriate for the theme, I think then New Year's Day would fit more appropriately. Top Deco 75 on Periscope said American Soul was great. New Year's Day could shake it up a bit more, so kind of it does lack. I mean, it's a well-heard, well-tread song where it's nothing new for people. Obviously, it still gets the crowd up and going, obviously, but just thematically, it's nothing new that they haven't heard before. So, and Mephisto imagery is a part of the promo, and obviously, sort of assume that he'll make his appearances in a similar way in the tour, and whether it's with Acrobat again and similar sort of setup on the E stage as they did before. Remains to be seen, obviously, but one kind of assumes it kind of seems like they're going for that same set list, just swapping out a few songs that make a bit different sense. The one interesting one that was rehearsed anyways was Even Better Than the Real Thing instead of Desire. And I don't know if is a Desire seen as more of like an American country rock kind of song as opposed to Even Better being more European rock or something. I don't know if that's a fair characterization, but Desire not...
I get it may be that Even Better Than the Real Thing could be the Who's Going to Be Your Wild Horses song. You remember that was introduced, I think, for the first show in North America and then never played again. It may be that some of these songs that are in rehearsal have just been played for Berlin. You never know.
Yeah.
Even Better Than the Real Thing, this is where Acton Baby got recorded in the Hansa studio, so it could be just a one-off. It'll take a couple of shows, won't it, before the band themselves, and particularly Bono, knows the feedback he's getting from the songs.
Yeah.
And things like Red Flag Day, I'm pleased they're in rehearsal at the moment, because unfortunately that song got dropped, I think, didn't it, in North America reasonably early on and didn't make a reappearance. So I love playing this thing, Chris, called U2 Bingo, where I get the songs, even if I only ever hear them once, it's always nice to hear them. That's why I'm hoping American Soul does make an appearance. I'm not actually very fond of the song, but it's tick the box exercise, isn't it? You hear it once and you've done it.
Well, because you were one of the few that got to hear what was it on the last tour? What was
on the I&E tour or the Joshua?
I&E tour.
I got to hear Volcano.
Volcano, yeah, right. That's what.
Yeah. Mac McGee's favorite song. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe they'll know. I guess it doesn't have to be Berlin. It could be one of the shows you're at. They just check for an Aaron Govern in the ticket listing, and then know they can play that rare song. So, is there any other songs that you guys are hoping from the most recent album? I guess it would make the most sense to talk about that one in relation to songs you hope to hear. Obviously, Acrobat being from Actung, that is likely something you haven't heard live, I would assume, unless you tuned into Periscope and whatever. But
not live. No, I've heard it live, obviously on audio and whatever.
Yeah.
From the new album.
Yeah, I was going to say from the new album.
Think.
Yeah, Summer of Love.
Yeah, Summer of Love. I'd like looking forward to that one very much. Love that song. I'd like to hear The Showman. I think that's quite a fun song.
Mm-hmm. Kenny's reaction. Not so much.
Sorry.
Not so much.
We can see you, Kenny, remember?
That's right, I forgot.
No, it's okay. He just had that throwing up supper in his mouth kind of feeling. No.
Yeah. Guilty as charged.
It's okay to not have it. Every song can't be your favorite song. That's fine.
Yeah.
What about you, Kenny? What favorite songs are you looking for?
I think for me, Summer of Love, definitely. And I'd really like to see Little Things. I really like that song. I think it's pretty awesome, actually, the more and more I listen to it. And actually, I'd like to hear it just in a different way than it sort of kind of concluding at the end of the Joshua Tree tour. So yeah, really kind of looking forward to that. With regards to like Acrobat, just to chuck this in, I've actually kind of strayed away from the tour quite a bit. So I've got a sense of the visuals. I haven't really kind of delved into the visuals, but I made a point of not listening to anything live yet. So it's all going to be a bit of a surprise for me when I pitch up on the. Nice. So I mean, I've obviously heard these songs live before, some of them, but just when you hear them again fresh, really looking forward to that. But yeah, I'd love to hear Little Things. I think it's a cracking song.
Yeah. I mean, Chris, one thing to say about this tour, and it really is a deep cut tour, because inevitably we haven't got any Joshua Tree songs, and that was actually the right thing to do in my opinion, particularly just following the Joshua Tree tour. But also as well, it was quite a good idea in some respects just to drop some of those songs, because it must be a nightmare if you're U2 to think to yourself, right, we've got 24 songs to play per concert. Which ones do we drop?
Yeah.
And it must be an absolute nightmare, because you've got to tour a new album. You've got to play at least 5-6 songs off the new album. How do you kick out another 5 each time? It must be an absolute nightmare to try and do that. So I'm pleased with this set list, because you say we're getting a lot of different tracks on that. Some are quite unusual to hear. The Ocean. I mean, I haven't heard The Ocean since the War Tour. I guess the same for you, Kenny.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's a nice rarity to hear that again, because there's fair few songs the last couple of tours I thought I'd never hear again, and we've had them played again. So that's the nice surprises that are coming up. That's good to hear.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, I just like hearing them live, and I know there's all sorts of chat about static set lists, etc. And I don't know, I think they might have to kind of mix it up slightly more if they're playing back to back, and there's kind of more back to back than there was certainly from the North American piece, if I recall. So there's going to have to be a bit more change. I just hope they do. When I saw The Real Thing, or even better than The Real Thing, much as I like it as a track, and actually it worked really well live on the I&E tour. I guess I'd feel a wee bit let down if you got the same visuals and etc. And I know they've kept some of the visuals in from the previous I&E tour for like Iris, etc. And I think that's appropriate, but I don't know. So anyway, we'll see. I'm really looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Yeah, it seems like they don't
get to buy me a beer.
What's that?
I said, plus Aaron gets to buy me a beer.
Oh,
so.
Oh yeah.
It's always a good excuse. And if you're listening somewhere, watching on Periscope, watching on Twitch, watching on YouTube, watching on Mixer is another one that we're streaming to, I think, as well. Feel free to throw something in the chat and let us know what songs you're looking forward to seeing if you're in the European area or planning to be for one of the tours. And we'd love to sort of hear what songs you're looking forward to, and maybe what songs you're looking forward to not hearing, as it were. If you're Joshua Tree'd out and you're happy that they're not playing anything from the Joshua Tree as of yet, anyways, and we'll see what happens. Ken Cunningham asked on Twitter, said, "Do you think there'll be a new single released to kick off the next leg of the tour?" And I guess if it hasn't happened yet.
I think it has, isn't it? Summer of Love. Yeah. Summer of Love was released digitally. Yeah.
Right. It kind of gets lumped into all the remixes section.
It's a little hard, isn't it, sometimes to know, is it a new single or not when you see what's coming out. It's like Love is Bigger Than Anything in Its Way. I think there was about 45 bloody remixes in the end. It was crazy.
Yeah. Everybody got a remix. Yeah. Which actually, in answer, I know people often ask me too, like, why are they doing it so often? But it was a #1 Billboard Dance Club chart remix of Love is Bigger Than Anything in Its Way. So now they're trying the same sort of tactic, I guess, with Summer of Love and 4 different remixes on there. So, I mean, I guess if it works and that's sort of the audience that's at least on the charts, like who knows how much it matters these days anyways. But if you're still sort of going after that, then I guess that's where the kind of thing that seems to be working for them. So. Which then, if like obviously it makes sense that they would start playing that song on the tour.
Yeah.
And we'll see what kind of version, if it like the natural sort of way of playing it seems to be like just the acoustic set version like they did with Staring at the Sun, except swap out Summer of Love, and thematically, whatever, I guess it works. And so yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow night. Aaron will have a live report for us, I guess, from the show floor to see what's happening.
Oh, yeah, I hope so. I mean, I'm just looking again at last night on U2 Tour's tweets for the rehearsals, and also tonight. It seems that what they played tonight has been the same as yesterday. So the only songs that don't appear to happen are 1, Love is Bigger Than Anything in Its Way, and 13, There Is a Light. So they've been playing about 20 songs, so there's 3 songs yet to be revealed so far. But I'm sure that those last 3 songs for the encore will happen. I'm fairly sure of that. The other thing we just talked about, Chris, you mentioned about Desire being dropped. What's going in to replace that now? Sorry, we were just talking about it.
Even better than the real.
Sorry, even better than the real thing. Yeah. One thing that will happen in the next anniversary of Rattle and Hum is coming up towards the end of October, early November for the film. So it makes me wonder whether, we've got the U2 fan club remix of the 12-inch of some of the tracks. I can't remember which ones they were now. Was it God Part 2 and stuff like that coming out to the YouTube.com subscribers? Yeah. And I thought that was going to indicate that there was going to be a Rattle and Hum anniversary issue. I have to say we're getting a bit close to that actually happening. It may be that perhaps it's either not happening or it'll be deferred into the new year. So it's very cluttered, the market, obviously, with U2 releases. The Joshua Tree tour video is yet to be released as well. So I think from a marketing perspective. But the point I was trying to make was that with Rattle and Hum anniversary coming up, it's going to be hard not to think that Bono will want to play When Love Comes to Town, or they've done that in New York, didn't they? They did in New York back in June. So, you can imagine, even if it's just an acoustic version with Edge, All I Want Is You, all of those type of songs, I'm sure they'll make an appearance, even if it's only once throughout the whole tour. I'm sure they'll be referenced, at least, even if they're snippets.
And I think that'll happen. That's your kind of multiple cities. So Milan's definitely got to have...
Milan, Paris might have it. Yeah, Milan's
absolutely
more likely, isn't it? Because that's October.
Yeah. And I was going to say Dublin, but, Dublin shows
got
can
4 shows.
Yeah, potentially, but they tend to be a wee bit safe sometimes. But you've got to think those cities with the 4 shows have got opportunity for something just a wee bit different. But to be seen.
Yeah, that's I think tempering fans' hopes, I guess, for a dramatically different set list, I guess, because they didn't really do a lot in the States with or in the North American tour, States and one stop in Canada, but with mixing it up too much, really, and definitely not as much as you might hope or think, I guess, if you're being really optimistic about just random songs getting thrown in. But we'll see. I'm hoping the what's the word? Not like too experimental, but something about Europe, something about being on their home continent, maybe, or whatever, inspires them to just sort of relax a little bit, let the set list hang out a little bit, and sort of experiment and try a few different things in a set, and not be so rigidly stuck to the set list, I guess, night after night, and even just for their own sake of interest of playing the same songs night after night after night in the same order with the same little spots and hits and moments and stuff like that. I guess just that they don't get stuck in a moment that they can't get out of, maybe. So, and to work one in.
Perfect. Listen, I totally agree with you, and I think the other thing as well that comes to mind, Chris, as well, is and I'm one of the believers. Is that the right thing? They're going to go on a bit of a sabbatical after this. Yeah, they've worked for 3 years on and off, which is quite a lot for them these days. I don't know, in my own mind, you probably think, well, is that really the way they want to finish off how they've been touring for the last 3 years, being too static? But listen, look, at the end of the day, because I think they will disappear for a wee while, that's why I'm just looking forward to this, looking forward to the music and hearing them bashing it out in a room, which is even better because it's smaller, it's indoor, etc. So I guess that's the kind of Brucey bonus, as we would say over here. But yeah, I think that's the one thing for me. You think maybe they might just think, okay, guys, we're going to disappear for a wee while, so let's go out with a bang.
Yeah.
And if not, I hope they're listening.
I'm sure they are. Let's just assume they are. So there's, as of right now, as we record anyways, at u2.com/tour, there's tickets available for Cologne, Hamburg, Milan, Manchester 2, London 2, and that's it. So really,
even though they sold out, let me just say that Berlin, yesterday and today, there's been ticket drops.
right.
GA
So
as well.
as they work out the production, particularly GA, usually what happens is when they get the stage down on the floor, they're able to work out whether they can release more tickets or not. And I think a few sightline seats were made available as well. I know they were sold out quite quickly, but they've happened. So anybody out there who is looking for tickets for shows which appear to be sold out, just be patient, and a day or two before the show, you may see that the local promoter is able to sort out some tickets for availability.
Yeah, there's the Facebook group.
Yeah, there's quite a few now. I think there's quite a few Facebook groups. I mean, there's one called U2 Fan Tours that's been going for quite a while. There's a fair few on Facebook. I mean, you just literally got to type in the appropriate search words. But yeah, there's been a fair amount of trading going on.
Yeah, so just to check those and be aware. Obviously, follow the rules. Make sure you're getting a ticket when you think you're getting a ticket and all that kind of stuff. Aaron, are you going to be, I guess, streaming or tweeting or anything?
I'm going to try and do Mixler. Don't even know I'm pronouncing it right. Mixler and Periscope tomorrow, subject to appropriate bandwidth. It does make me wonder whether, when you're in a big concrete building, whether you can get a signal or not. So I should be trying my very best indeed.
And you're the best place for them to follow you to be notified, I guess, maybe on Twitter. What's your Twitter?
I'll do that on Twitter, yeah. So my Twitter handle is @Ivanobe, IVANOBE.
Right. And so yeah, folks can look forward to possibly seeing whatever bandwidth provides, I guess, and then Kenny, I guess, on for folks in a little while, anyways. What? No pun intended. Where are you at on the Twitters, if folks want to?
Yeah, I'm at Sing No More, which is Sing SINGNOMORE.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that, seeing what happens tomorrow night, I guess, on the show. Of course, you can follow along with @U2 at twitter.com/ATU2, facebook.com/ATU2com. Give us a like over there, and then instagram.com/ATU2com. All those places will be updating, I guess, as we hear and see things happening with the tour. And also, if you want to, you can follow. What was I going to say? Follow, I guess, Good Stuff. That's where the show is. You can find links to all that stuff if you want to. If you forget what we said, goodstuff.fm/ATU2/87 is this particular episode number. And then, of course, previous episodes, if you want to, are there as well. And if you're so inclined, feel free to give us a like, a thumbs up, a rating, a review, whatever, and on the various podcast players that you choose to do so in. The Apple Podcasts app in particular is one of the more influential ones, so that helps other folks get to be made aware of the YouTube podcast that we do. And I'm iChris on Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me if you have any questions. And of course, use hashtag #AskAtU2 on Twitter. Thanks to everybody who's watching on Periscope, Twitch, Mixer, YouTube, if you happen to be out there. We'll be back again, I think, in a week. We'll watch any of those Twitter accounts for news and scheduling. And thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you have a great day. Adios.